Welcome back to my channel, friends. I'll be using today the Memory Lanes collection. Just one sheet here along with these pretty papers, and I'll be creating a 2-page scrapbook layout using the brand new Make It From Your Heart Volume 6 that will debut on September 1st. I'm so excited about this. I had the opportunity to create lots of pretty projects for our annual convention. Today I'll be using this particular pattern, which is pattern number 13. And you can see each design in here will give you some samples to work from, along with cutting guides and a diagram, a sketch, so that you can follow right along. I've prepared everything in advance so that the pages will go together really quickly. I have cut out these flower die cuts, leaves, using peach, ballerina, honey butter, I believe, is part of this collection, and some leaves out of some of the pattern paper. Also used some of the die cuts in the wood grain, along with some flower embellishments and some regular clear sparkles and bitty sparkles. I'll be creating my title using some of those wood grain alphabets along with a sticker sheet title, and I'll wait and share I'll let the title reveal itself as I create it. It's kind of a fun play. So I just used a few temporary glue dots to lay down my paper. I used a full sheet of the floral design pattern on the right side, and then I had just enough of the floral pattern to create the left-hand side of the page with a tiny bit of a modification. So that's why I'm layering it onto white daisy cardstock. Now I'm debating whether I need to order another packet of this because I just used up all this beautiful floral paper for this page, but we'll see. I don't know what I'll do, but more than likely I will. So I modified the sketch just a tiny bit because I was about 1/4 of an inch short on that floral paper. So I'm laying down some sage cardstock here, and then you'll see there's about 1/4 inch of white still showing. So I decided to grab my Melon glitter paper, and unfortunately it's already sold out. So I try not to use products that aren't available, but I just had to use some of this on this particular project because it coordinated and just worked really well with just a little bit of glitter and bling. So I pulled out some old vellum paper that I had and did a circle on my Cricut and then cut it in half. So you can see I'm putting it on this portion of the page because it's going to help my title pop a little bit off of that busy floral paper. Now I have some nectarine cardstock that I also cut out of my Cricut, a large circle, just following the sketch design and the recommendation on the size, and I'll layer that down here for my focal point on the left-hand page. I have some zip strips here. I only have 2 of them from that pattern paper, so I have to get a little bit creative in cutting them because I wanted to make it look like double lines on each side of the page. And you'll see how that comes together here in a minute. So I end up cutting these pieces. I'm measuring them here, but I'm going to cut them into smaller pieces so I'm not wasting any behind that nectarine circle there. So it all comes together just perfectly, and I end up having some left over to use maybe on a card using my scraps. Using the zip strips, which are a 1/2 inch piece that are at the top of your pattern paper, we have the information for the paper packet and the colors that are included. On one side of that zip strip is what we call it, and then on the other side is a pattern so that it doesn't go to waste. So that's one of my favorite aspects, I guess, of our pattern paper, our packets. that we have. They put to use every single bit of it. Nothing needs to go to waste. So next I'm going to put down a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 photo mat using peach cardstock, I believe. I'm going to pop that up with some foam tape, and then here in a little bit I'll have my photos prepared and ready to add to that photo mat. But that'll be the main focal point on this left-hand side of the page, and my title will end up going across the top along that circle in an arch, and then I'm using the sticker sheet, Spending Time with You, to finish off that part of my title. So I have part of it at the top, and then it finishes off down here at the bottom. And I decide just to lay that down. It is a sticker, but I took a little bit of the sticky off using my anti-static pouch so that I could maneuver it around when I was figuring out how my design would come together. Here's just a little word strip that worked well with the page, so I laid that over there on the corner of the photo mat. And then now I've moved over to the right-hand page. You'll notice that the strips don't go all the way across the page. That's one of the things that I love about this design. So again, it's just following the exact pattern that I did on the left-hand side. Same concept. I'm going to cut some of those pieces of the zip strip and place them strategically so that when I lay down my photo mats, they will be covered and it'll look like 2 long strips going across there. And then I will have a little bit extra left over to use on other projects. So this page will feature a 4 by 6 photo up at the top with 2 3 by 4 photos right there where my hands are, and that'll all come together right now. So I do decide to add some foam tape to the back of all these mats just to give some depth and dimension to the page. And I didn't really have any embellishments that would interfere with them. I do put one cluster up at the top of that 4 by 6 here in a few minutes, but I can just use a little bit of foam tape on those embellishments as well. So everything's coming together quickly. Another thing I love about this design are these circle elements that are over on the very far right-hand corner or side of the page. So coordinates well with the large photo on the left side. So I finally figured out what photos I wanted to use with this. I almost went with photos of Jeff and I, but decided to find some photos with my mom. This last year has been really difficult for her, and with the passing of my father back in July of 22. And so we spent a lot of time together. Bevan goes back and forth to visit her father in the same place my mother lives. So there are a few photos that I found of all 3 of us. So my title I laid out, as you can see, using those wood grain letters, chipboard pieces, and I'm just applying them with a little bit of glue. So it reads, "My love language is spending time with you." And then later on, my journaling will read about quality time being my #1 love language. So I just thought that was a fun play on the title and incorporated, normally in the sketch, that part down there that says spending time with you would have been extra journaling, but I didn't feel that was necessary, so I just created a bigger, longer title. So I'm assembling the die cuts, the flowers that I created, using a combination of the colors that are included in the kit, Memory Lane. So I have peach and ballerina and honey butter, along with some leaves that I cut out of another pattern paper from this collection. Really love how this turned out, and I just laid the clusters around a little bit, and so you'll see me here in just a minute start working on those clusters. But I did add another little word strip that I found that worked well with this particular page and theme as well. So just maneuvering the pieces around a little bit until it's pleasing to my eye. That's usually how I do it. I don't have rhyme or reason to it. It's more just what looks pretty. And so I'll fiddle around with it here and there. I cut a lot of it out so that you don't have to watch all of that. But I'm trying to decide where do I want that one little leaf and finally figure it out. And so I'll put these flowers and leaves down, a few of them with foam tape, and then a few of them I just adhered, pretty much the ones that are underneath this larger ballerina flower. The rest of the items mostly are just taped right down to the page. And then I'll move over to doing the other clusters here in just a minute. So I was really pleased to find this particular flower die cut. Thin cuts is what we call them. Still available on the website, so they are linked down to at the bottom in the info section of this video. I went back and put a little bit of tape behind that vellum because I was concerned about you being able to see the glue, and it was after I glued those letters on there it started to lift a little bit, so that's what you saw me do there, just to tap it down, secure it to the page. So here I am working on the additional clusters, just seeing what looks good to the eye. I like to, depending on the layout, you can do 3 to 5 different clusters. This particular layout I chose just to do 3 clusters, and as you can see I used all the same colors in the clusters, changed up the flowers just a little bit. I think I did manage to use all the flowers, but just had fun piecing those together and seeing what would look well and what would pop and give a great visual to the eye. So I pretty much got everything figured out on this circle right here on the right page and how to lay it all out. And then the top and the bottom circles will be used for journaling. I grabbed some of the wood grain flowers that I had. They were actually part of the scrapbooking workshop bundle, I believe, for memory lane, so that's why I chose to use them in this particular page and with this collection. So I end up only using 2 of these flowers on each cluster, kind of a medium-sized one along with a small one, and you kind of just saw the process of how I figure out where I want to put them and what I like about them. So I'm getting close to wrapping up the page. I take some bitty sparkles and put them inside the centers of those wood grain flowers. Kind of have to fiddle with them a little bit to get them down in the center of those, and so they don't flip upside down. You want the sparkle to be showing, so that's kind of what you're seeing me do here. And then I do use some of the larger sparkles to finish off the page, and I put, I believe, 2, maybe 3 on the clusters. So I just slide them right off the carrier sheet that they are on. Jill Broadbent showed us how to do that at an Albert retreat, and just makes it so much easier. So a little fun tip there. So just wrapping it up, all I have to do, I believe, next is do my journaling. I chose to actually draw journaling lines on this one. Just would help me with my handwriting. I did choose to do my own handwriting on it. It's always a little bit scary when I do that, but I grabbed my T-square ruler, to draw those lines in, and I made the lines 1/2 inch apart because my journaling, my handwriting is fairly big. I don't like to write really tiny. So if I was going to say more about something then and had a lot to journal, more than likely I would have typed it out on my Word document page, printed it off, and then put it on either in strips or some other way. So there's my finished pages, finished the journaling. I do decide to add some white stitching using a white gel pen, which you'll see here in the final pages. So thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe to my channel, like my video, and I look forward to sharing more of my creative artwork with you in the coming days. Thank you.